welcome back to the GUNK Collective channel. My name's Olivia and today I'm going to be recreating a 1940s inspired hairstyle. Enjoy! Okay, so to start off with, I have started to pre-curl the hair, and I'll just take one out just to show you what I've done. So what I've done with the curler is I have to start with, I'm using this curler, and I'll do just a little close-up, but it's a really thin barrel clamp, and that's what I've used to start curling the hair. I've just pre-curled some of these just so I can show you an example, and so what I've done is I have the curler with the crocodile clamp on top of the hair. When it's hot, I usually just run it along just to start smoothing the hair. I bring the clamp on top, I smooth it down the hair until I get to about the mid-length. I clamp. The piece I'm holding at the end, I bring round. I'm going to try and do it without getting my arm in shot. So I bring the hair underneath and I use my hand and I twist it over. You can see that. And then I just start to release the clamp a bit further down the hair, and I repeat the process. This is going to ensure that all of those little hairs are going to stay inside the clamp, and you're going to get a really nice smooth curl. So and you're going to get to the end, so just be careful with your fingers. If you've got heat-proof gloves, you can use that. But when you get to the end, it can kind of tuck itself in. And then I just roll the hair. Obviously, when you're doing this on a model, you always make sure that the hot isn't touching the ears, so you would maybe over-direct it over the ears. But because we're working on my doll's head, we don't necessarily have to worry about burning her ears. And I really try and make it as tight as possible because you want the curls, you can see here, to kind of all be the same size. Just hold it in place for a few seconds. The doll's head is kind of coarse, so I'm going to leave it on for a little bit longer than a few seconds. And if you can always feel the hair to see if the hair is hot. To release the curl, I unravel. If you can see, it's tight. I unravel it away from the head and I loosen the clamp. So you can see that is moving away from the hot. And I unclamp, and it should stay in that ringlet. As you can see there, you can see my finger. Using your finger when you've taken it out, that's how you're going to keep the curl nice and tight. And you want to pin it as close to the head because you don't want the curls drooping. It might take the weight will bring some of the curls down. And then I'm going to take this little crocodile pin heat clip, and I'm going to use the pin from the back to the front, just because on the doll's head I find it a bit easier to do it like that, and pin. For this style, I'm going to be over directing the hair. The majority of the hair is all rolling this way, so it's all of the curls are tucked under. However, with some 1940 styles, some of the hair was over directed from the other side of the parting to give a bit of height in hairstyles. So I'm going to do that here. Okay, so here you can see her parting. This is where I have everything on this side I have brought this way. However, I am going to do a few on the other side of the parting over, just like you can see here. I've curled it in. With a lot of 1940s styles, a lot of the styles are over directed just to give a bit of a height onto the hair. So how I'm going to section it to do the next layer is, you can see my clear line I try and always keep a clear line, because then, especially when I'm going to be curling the front and the sides in different directions, I'll just make sure that you can clearly see. So, and the doll's head can be quite flyaway, so when it's set, sometimes it helps to put like a net or just spray some hairspray. Okay, so what I do is I take my pintail comb and I try to take a decent amount. I usually split it in half and just see how much that looks. Quite good amount of hair, and I always comb it out before. I'm going to use a Denman brush. When you've got product in the hair holds really well, so I've put in some mousse, the Tresemme Mega Hold mousse, and I find mousse really helpful for curl styles. So for the first side that we done, we had the clamp on top. Now we're going to have it on bottom. Clamp it and smooth it out. I'm going to go to the middle section, which is probably about here. When it's clamped, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to roll the hair around the barrel and clip, and we're just going to keep doing that. It's one of those things that you get the hang of as you do it. We're going to clip and roll, clip and roll. So I can touch it and I can feel that the hair is warming up. So what I'm going to do is slightly just pull it away from the head, not too much, and I'm going to start to move, as you can see there. I'm going to slightly wiggle the clamp, and you'll start to feel the hair loosen. And you always want to make sure that your hand is ready to catch that curl, because you don't want it to drop. There. So when you've taken out the curl, I like to put my finger through just to control the curl. And twist. Twist it until I feel that it's in a nice curl shape. And then I'm going to take my clip and I'm going to go from the back of the head to the front and clip. What we're going to do for this section on the side here is we're actually going to curl away from the face, because so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pin away the hair at the back here, just so we don't get it confused when we're curling, because we want to keep our sections quite neat. And I'm just going to pin that there, just so it's away from where we're going to cut. So for this section, what we're going to do is we're going to start at the back, just because it's a bit easier to see. So when we're curling away, we're going to do it long way. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from the top to the bottom and separate with the comb. Then we're going to take the clamp, and what we're going to do is we're going to have this clamp towards the face, because we're going to turn the hair back on itself. So I'll show you. I'm going to open the clamp. I use my fingers to do that. I'm try and get every last strand. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to clamp and we're going to slowly smooth out the hair. So I'm going to turn the curler down because we want the curls facing that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unravel the curler and I'm going to loosen the clamp. You can see, and it's slowly going to fall away, and as I pull away it just falls straight into my hand. I've got the ringlet in my hand, pinched, and with my clip ready, with my clip, I'm going to have that handy, and I'm going to re-curl towards the head. I'm going to re-curl. And with okay, so that's the front of the hair done. I'm now going to move on to the back. For the hairstyle I'm going to create, the top of the hair is going to be quite smooth. So what we're going to do is we're going to start curling from about just underneath the crown section, because this hair is kind of a rolled up kind of style. I'm just going to brush the hair out. We have put some product in already, which is going to help us, but I just want to make sure, because I find the doll's heads to be a little bit dry, especially when you put things like mousse in. Okay, so I've brushed out the hair. How I'm going to start with this head is I am actually going to work from the bottom up. So I'm just going to tip her down just so I can get right underneath her head, as you can see. And I'm going to use my comb again, and I'm just going to separate it. For this, because the hair is going to be more of a rolled up, it's going to be, it can be dressed out, but I think for this style we're going to try it and have more of a style to it. Okay, so for the bottom layer of the hair, what we're going to do is we're going to roll it under. So I'm actually going to separate this into 3. They don't necessarily have to be exactly even, just as long as you've got roughly about the same hair. Again, we're going to take the brush and we're just going to brush it out just so there's no knots. I always find that I have some knots at the bottom. I like to pull hair out of the way, but you don't have to do that. Okay. Again, when we're rolling, the way we want to roll, we want to have it on top, and for the barrel to roll under. So we're going to start to smooth the hair out. You don't have to do this, this is just something that I find works for me. And then again, bring it down to the middle, clamp, bring it down a bit more, we clamp, we twist, we bring the hair over, and we twist again so the clamp's back on top, bring it down, and when you kind of get to this point, you roll. And again, I like to put mine close to the neck, to the skin or the scalp on the doll's head, but when you're working on a client, don't do this. Have some sort of comb underneath to protect. Okay, so for the next section we're going to bring the hair down. And I'm going to make a slightly larger section than the underneath. And I do like to make sure my sections are relatively even. And again, I'm just going to pin that up and away. Okay, so again we're going to split this into one section here, one section here. Okay. So what we're going to do with the middle section is we're going to again roll this under, but with the two side sections we're going to roll it in. Okay, so for the outside sections we're going to start rolling in. And all of the curls from now on are going to go towards the head. That kind of just gives that flick. So we're going to have the clamp at the bottom, smooth the hair out, and I'm actually going to go in at a bit of an angle for this. We have the hair rolled in on this section. We have rolled in, rolled under, rolled in, and these are all rolled under. Okay, so I've the curls have set and I have undressed the hair, and I'm going to use a soft bristle brush, and I'm just going to give the curls I'm not going to really brush them out, but I'm going to try and mould them into shape. Also got on hand my grip and pin box, and I just like to keep this out handy with a bit of everything, just because you never know what you might need. So I'm going to start brushing out from the back and then I'll start moulding. I just like to smooth everything out and make sure that everything is starting to look. I haven't touched the front yet. Okay. So what I've done now is when I curled this out, you can see this really nice kind of S-shaped wave. I'll do a close-up because it's quite dark. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start to bring the brush underneath the hair and to bring it all together. So I'm going to use this kind of motion. I'm going to put the hair down and I'll show you. So I'm going to collect all the hair, just going to gently brush it all in. You're not going to knock the curls out if they're completely cooled. And I'm going to start to roll the hair. And if you've set the hair correctly, it will start to curl, and that is a very 40s set. The hair was always tucked under. Now with this doll's head, the ends are a little bit coarse and a little bit straggly, so I do find that I have to kind of mould the hair a bit more, but that's fine. And you can always use pins, and I probably will use some pins. So I haven't got a hairnet on me, but if you did have a dark hairnet, that is something you could use. You would grip it in place and the hair would just stay really nicely tucked under. I'm styling, and brushing out. I like to keep a bit of hairspray on me, just because sometimes there's some flyaways and I want to spray it down and brush it when I'm smoothing out the hair. So that's just what I'm going to do here. So for the reference picture that I'm actually using, it isn't necessarily a roll, but she definitely has the hair to the side. So I think we're going to try, for the top of the look, the reference image I was using, she has a slight side parting, and she has not necessarily a victory roll, but a kind of roll at the front. So I'll try to recreate that. Obviously this side is a little bit smaller because in the picture she has a side parting. And at the back of the head. We then come down, so at the bottom of the hair we've got this really nice tucked under shape. Because the doll's head that I'm using ends are quite dry, I did pin it slightly just so it would hold its curl shape. But as you can see from the bottom, it's got that really nice cupping, and you can pin at the sides if you want. And that is my finished look.